Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're doing a deep dive into something pretty critical unfolding right now. It's about the potential closure of the Strait of Hormuz.
Right.
We've got sources confirming Iran's parliament has, well, officially approved taking this step. And that's something we haven't seen in, what, over half a century?
That's right. Since 1972, it's a significant move.
It really is. And, this isn't just some abstract economic threat. It feels like a strategic maneuver, Iran trying to gain some serious leverage.
Okay.
It's a stark reminder, isn't it, how tied together geopolitics and global markets actually are. So our mission here is to really understand what this could mean for you, for global energy, and, well, the wider economy.
And what's really fascinating, or maybe concerning, is just how incredibly significant this narrow strip of water actually is. The Strait of Hormuz, it sits between Oman and Iran, right?
Yeah.
And it's a key link, connects the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman, and then out to the Arabian Sea.
The only way out by sea for many countries there?
Pretty much. And this isn't just any waterway. It controls something like 20% of the world's petroleum liquids consumption.
20%. Wow.
Just, yeah, take a second on that. 1/5 of global daily petroleum use. We're talking over 20 million barrels a day.
Every single day.
Every day, funneling through this one relatively narrow point. It's almost, well, disorienting to think about that level of dependence on such a potentially vulnerable spot.
Absolutely. And that vulnerability, that's precisely why even the threat sends shivers through markets everywhere.
So thinking about that volume,
Mm-hmm.
what happens when this kind of disruption looms? I mean, remember after those recent U.S. strikes on Iran,
Yeah.
you had, what, more than 50 large oil tankers scrambling, like almost frantically to get out of the strait?
A real rush for the exit.
Exactly. Markets were closed then, but the immediate fear isn't just, a standard price jump. It's deeper.
It's about the system's vulnerability, isn't it? JP Morgan even flagged this as their worst case scenario in the whole Israel-Iran conflict context.
Or worst case. And look, that worst case label, it's not just analysts being dramatic. If you connect this to the wider economy, JP Morgan's estimates, they suggest a full closure could push oil prices up to, say, $120, maybe $130 a barrel.
Okay. And what does that translate to for people listening?
Well, that number directly implies a pretty sharp spike in U.S. CPI inflation, maybe up to around 5%.
5% inflation. CPI is the consumer price index, right?
Yeah.
Measures everyday costs.
Exactly. Goods, services. A 5% jump would be a noticeable hit to household budgets for sure.
We haven't seen that level since when? March 2023?
That's right. And that famously pushed the Federal Reserve into those aggressive interest rate hikes.
Right.
And you've got to remember, energy prices and CPI inflation are very directly linked. There's a Fed study suggesting every $10 jump in oil can add about 20 basis points. That's 1/5 of a percentage point to inflation.
And oil's already up significantly from April lows, isn't it?
It is, up about $20 already. So
Yeah.
potentially that's added 40 basis points to CPI even before any actual closure happens.
Okay, so you mentioned JP Morgan seeing $120 and $130, and we've heard other estimates maybe even hitting $150 or $200. Now, the threat is obviously real, but is there a chance markets, and maybe analysts too, sometimes, well, overreact to these geopolitical flare-ups?
That's a fair question. Markets can definitely be reactive, sometimes overly so. But the thing about Hormuz is the physical reality. The choke point is real. So the high-stakes pricing often feels, well, more justified than in other situations.
And why would Iran make this move now, knowing the global chaos it could cause?
Well, it's not just about hitting back economically. It's deeply rooted in their strategic thinking. Deterrence, leverage. By approving this, the parliament is essentially handing the supreme leader a very powerful card to play, if he chooses.
A card that signals escalation beyond just military tit-for-tat.
Exactly. It directly threatens global economic stability. It's a way to signal serious pushback against what they see as aggression, trying to maybe force concessions or at least de-escalation by making the cost incredibly high for everyone.
And this isn't a new threat from them, is it?
Oh no, the idea of closing Hormuz has been part of their playbook for decades. Actually doing it legally, though, that's the rare part.
Okay, so given this huge reliance, the obvious question probably on your mind is why can't tankers just, go somewhere else? Are there other routes?
And that's the crux of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for major producers like Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, and a massive slice of Saudi Arabia's oil, Hormuz is basically the only way out by sea.
The only way.
There are some limited pipelines, sure. They could maybe reroute, roughly 6.5 to 7.5 million barrels a day.
Which sounds like a lot, but compared to the total?
It's a huge drop. That's still about a 65% reduction in what usually goes through the strait via tanker.
Hmm.
That alone is about 13% of total global supply just gone.
13% of global supply.
Yeah. So for you listening, this isn't just abstract numbers. It hits shipping costs, it hits the price of goods, and of course, very directly, what you pay for gas.
Mm.
Those $150, even $200 barrel estimates, they pop up precisely because viable alternatives are so incredibly limited if there's a long shutdown.
And we're already seeing some effects.
We are seeing effects. Shipments through the strait have actually been steadily declining since mid-June. Markets are starting to price in this rising risk.
It certainly paints a very clear picture of just how high the stakes are. You've got these geopolitical tensions just completely intertwined with inflation, market stability, our
Uh-huh.
everyday economic reality, really. And just to reiterate, the final decision on this potential first legal closure in over 50 years, that rests with Iran's supreme leader, Khamenei.
Which really brings up a final thought for you to consider. We know energy prices feed directly into inflation. We've already seen oil prices climb quite a bit since April. So if this situation does escalate, leading to that kind of price spike we talked about, how might a potential return to aggressive interest rate hikes reshape the economic landscape that you navigate every day? It's definitely something to think about for the near future.